these individual one-on-one interviews that I've done has now created this team where we all feel more comfortable together. We get comments from our employees and our team members that say, we're family oriented. There's a family feel here. Well, that has paid off dividends by knowing what are their talents and where do they find joy in their work.
You work hard in your business. On the Profit by Design podcast, we ask the big question. What has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling. I'm the business psychologist, the author of the 4-Week Vacation and the How to Hire the Best series, as well as the founder of Tap the Potential, where we coach entrepreneurs like you to design sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. Because after all, we believe work supports life, not the other way around. Weekly on the Profit by Design podcast, we bring you tips, tools, and strategies from our own experiences and from the experiences of our guests who are entrepreneurial thought leaders and real life entrepreneurs, all to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable business decisions to live the lifestyle you desire. Profit Designers, the 4-Week Vacation, the entrepreneur's ultimate guide to taking your life back from your business is now available. Go to 4weekvacation.com, grab a copy of the book, and be sure to follow the steps there to claim your bonuses. When you purchase the book, you are eligible to join me for my upcoming live training, the 4-Week Vacation Better Business, Better Life Jumpstart. Plus, and you'll also get an invitation to an exclusive VIP closed door training with me to identify the true profit potential within your business. Just follow the steps at 4weekvacation.com. And I hope that the 4-Week Vacation book inspires you for what's possible. It's time to take your life back from your business. Welcome to the Profit by Design podcast. Today is a very special day because we are featuring Moore Green and Blake Moore in the Great Place to Work spotlight here on the Profit by Design podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sabrina Starling, the business psychologist and the author of the How to Hire the Best series, as well as the 4-Week Vacation. And one of my greatest joys in life is getting to work with business owners who are dedicated to creating great places to work. So at Tap the Potential, one of our big promises that we deliver through our Better Business, Better Life program is that you will have more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. And that means that we support business owners in designing businesses that are sustainable, that are profitable. And one of the things that just fascinates me is we don't have business owners who show up at Tap the Potential who just want to make a lot of money for the sake of making a lot of money. These business owners want to be more profitable so they can create opportunities for their team members and give back to their communities and bless their communities. And today with Blake Moore here from Moore Green, Blake is a living, breathing example of that he's dedicated to making Moore Green better because it creates opportunities for the team members and because then you have more opportunities to serve in the world and they have opportunities to serve. And there's abundance that gets created in working on your workplace culture. So, and that's why we're featuring Blake in the Great Place to Work spotlight. So I want to share a little bit about your background, Blake, before we dive into the interview so people really understand where you're coming from. Blake's family started in the lawn fertilizing business when Blake was just 11 years old. And while he enjoyed working outside and being with friends and family, he wasn't sure that lawn care was going to be his career. He pursued an accounting degree in college, and while there, entered the horticultural program and found his passion. At age 32, with his wife expecting their third child, he left the family business and began his own venture. Since that time, Blake's gone from solopreneur, who wore all the hats, to a business leader who strives to find opportunities for his team members to grow and develop. Through teaching and coaching team members, Blake has found an unexpected joy in his business. Losing his wife to cancer, Blake became a widower, which helped him realize that work supports life, not the other way around. Blake has since remarried, is happier than ever, and is proud of his combined family of 8 children. He serves as a board member of the Utah Pest Control and Lawn Care Association, and he's done that for more than 20 years. And he also actively serves in church callings and loves to travel with his wife. So, Blake, you're a busy guy.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff.
A lot going on. So, which begs the question, how do you find time to run a business and really live life?
I actually made that a priority, right? You mentioned, when life happens, whether that be a cancer diagnosis or health issues or whatever that is, that seems to really hone down the focus of what's really important. And so I learned through that experience that, I learned that before, that my business wasn't everything, right? That I was more than just my business, that I was a dad, I was a husband, and I have family and other people that count on me, and I have interests outside of the business. And so it's required to take time for all of those things and be present when you're there. I've had to learn that.
Yeah. And I know that as you grew your business has really grown to the point that it has because of your relationship building. You are great at building relationships and connections with your customers. So how you have some customers that have been with you since the very beginning, right?
From the get-go. Exactly. And they're still with me. Now, that's something I wish I realized earlier, right? That when I was all me, what I was doing was creating these relationships, and they were relationships of trust with my customers. They knew that I could do the job well. They knew that I wasn't going to cheat them out of anything. And we have a relationship, and I enjoy seeing them. And that brings me joy as, to this day, as I still see them and do business with them.
So, and that also, I think, creates that business that becomes very dependent on you too. There's the upside of the business growing, but I think you can only go so far because there's only so much of you to go around. So maybe talk a little bit about when you hit that ceiling and what that was like and how you started building team.
Yeah, it's a two-edged sword, right? I mean, these people love you and they want to tell others about you. And so you quickly grow your business and you grow more relationships, but you get to the point where you can't do it all. And then it's hard because I have to have somebody else come in and replace me. What is that going to look like? And, you always hear, I want Blake to do this. Where's Blake? So, and I think that's why I wish I realized it earlier, because I found that with some key hires, those people that see the customers the way that I see them, it wasn't a problem. The customers quickly kept that relationship of trust with those A players, right? And I've learned that when they're not A players, that I spend more time trying to keep that relationship or repairing that relationship, and sometimes losing that relationship, even though it's been, all these years that I've taken care of someone, having an employee who's not an A player go in and destroy that relationship in 1 or 2 visits. It seems pretty cruel, but that's reality. And so I wish I would have learned that finding these A player people that saw things the way that I did, the way that I do, and then treating people the way that I do really relieved me of the time and the pressure I felt better letting them take care of those customers who I love.
So you just said a lot there, and I want to unpack it because you make it sound so simple. Like you just go out and you find these A players who want to take care of your customers the way you do.
That's been 18 years, Dr. Sabrina.
I know. But I think that's the piece that there's no training. Well, there is now with the How to Hire the Best course, but there's not training out there on when you're hiring. You think you're supposed to hire for skills and abilities, and there's a whole piece of hiring A players that's missing. And what you're describing is you really identified a value that you hold. And once you recognized, I hold this value around relationship building and caring for others, and a high standard, I believe, also is involved in that, and that you needed to hire people who held similar values. And it wasn't so much about the skill set as it is about the value. So talk a little bit about how did you learn that, discover that, go through that, clarify it, and get those people?
Well, I learned that with having some good hires, right? And they weren't necessarily, when I hired these people, I wasn't looking for that A player mentality. They just happened to be it. And it was luck and luck of the draw there. And so, but as I started to, let those employees take care of these customers, then I could hear the feedback from the customers that, oh, we love so-and-so. We are so glad when he comes, or I love talking to her on the phone, or those kind of things. And it's a relief. So I've had to change the way that I look for team members, right? It's not just, I need someone that can do this. I now need to I need people who are this, what are their attitudes and how is it that they look at life? Are they, I consider myself to be a service heart. I like to help people. I find joy in that. My business is a service business. And so it fits me well. I need to find someone who has that same type of service heart, that they want to, not necessarily be a people pleaser, but they like to make sure that they do the job right and that the people are happy, our clients are happy. So I think one of the ways that, taking time to really define what those values were, that was key for me. We call them our non-negotiable or immutable laws. And it took me a while to develop that. But once I think, Dr. Sabrina, you told me, well, what makes you mad? Yeah. And I was like, oh, wow, I could come up with all kinds of things. And so as I listed these things that bothered me, in those details were my values. And now I have identified those values and I look for people that have those values. It's been huge.
So what are some of your non-negotiables, your immutable laws?
Well, my first one is to be honest, and really it's trustworthy, right? Those relationships of trust that I've built. I need someone I look for people that are trustworthy. And so being honest, a lot of times my team members are by themselves. So you need to be honest when you're all by yourself and no one's watching. That's one of my immutable laws. I don't like to cut corners. So I'm not looking at necessarily using the cheapest products or maybe shaving things off to make things more profitable or to speed things up. I want to make sure we're complete. And so not cutting corners is important to me. And then being easy to get along with, right? I think for customers, I like to tell them that, I'm easy to get along with. So, I come and do my thing, and whatever's easier for you on how you pay me, I'm easy to work with. And so those are the values. And then valuing the team. I see us as my team members that we're accomplishing more together than what we could each do as individuals. So together, we're a more complete team.
Yeah. And I want to share with our listeners that as you're listening to Blake and you're thinking, wow, he has these great non-negotiables and they're so well articulated that it's a process to get there. Because you started with that question of what's made you mad lately. And so we have a toolkit that accompanies the How to Hire the Best book, and it's a free download. And I walk you through how to identify your immutable laws or your non-negotiables like Blake is talking about. So if you're listening to Blake and you're like, I need to get this done for my company, just go to the toolkit. Yeah, Blake says do it. The toolkit, it's at tapthepotential.com/toolkit. So Blake, I want to continue here because you have been in the How to Hire the Best course. You've gone through, we let people, once you register in the How to Hire the Best course, you can go through as many times as you want. So you've gone through it and you have completed 90% of the move forward action steps in the course. So, and that is when we have people featured in our Great Place to Work Spotlight, it's because they're A players as business owners creating great places to work. So what are the things that you have worked on in the culture of your business as a result of going through the course?
So going through that course has helped me to realize the value of each individual person. I've been paying more attention to what they like, my employees and other team members. I don't like to be called the boss, but I get called the boss, but really they're my team. And so instead of the common things, like a bonus or extra money or whatever, that seems to be the common thing that we think that our team members need for appreciation. One of the things I started to do was these one-on-ones where I just sit down with them to talk. And it doesn't have to be business related at all. It can be something that they're dealing with at their home, or maybe they have questions, and it's just me and them. And at first it was kind of awkward, right? But it's become a way for me to connect and to see them. And I've learned a lot about them. That in turn has helped my culture. These individual one-on-one interviews that I've done has now created this team where we all feel more comfortable together. We get comments from our employees and our team members that say, we're family oriented. There's a family feel here. Well, that has paid off dividends by knowing what are their talents and where do they find joy in their work. And so I'll find things that they like. For example, my office manager likes going to Comic-Con, that's her thing. And so instead of, a bonus or whatever, I offered, I'll buy your tickets to go to Comic-Con for you and your husband, which they go. And I said, well, how much do these tickets cost? And, obviously there's the basic ticket, but then there's the VIP ticket that gets you to the front of the lines. Well, why don't you pick up 2 VIP tickets on me and go do what you love to do? And, that goes a long way, that we've connected in what they enjoy.
Yeah. And you are creating an experience for them, and her husband is benefiting too. So, and that's something is when we're thinking about perks and incentives, it's not about bonuses. It's about really creating experiences and being in a meaningful way that even the family members and spouses get to enjoy. And that goes a long way, because the next time your office manager may have to work late during the busy season, a husband is going to be like, oh, absolutely. You go ahead. I got things over here, because More Green is a great place to work. I'm happy that you get to work there.
Right. The other thing I found too in these one-on-ones is that everybody enjoyed learning. They wanted to learn more, and which kind of surprised me. That was a common theme amongst my first one-on-ones, is they wanted to know more. And so I started doing more training and spending, we have field days where we kind of shut down for a little while, and we'll go out in the field and have a class, and they just love it.
Do you bring your office team out too for the field days?
For some of it, most of it is for the technicians, but when we start doing role playing and that kind of thing, we involve everybody in that.
Wow, that's awesome. So I know that I talk with a lot of business owners, and when I say, are you doing one-to-ones with your team? A lot of times they'll say, well, of course, I see them every day in the office. We're always talking. I don't think I need to have a separate meeting because we're talking all the time.
Right.
What's your response to that, Blake?
Those water cooler meetings are not really successful at getting to know who they are. Getting into an office that it's just the two of you, and then saying, what would you like to talk about today? What are some successes that you've had, or what's a worry that you have? And just talking to them and being a friend and listening is a lot more than what we say at the water cooler, or talking about maybe the Super Bowl, right?
Yes.
Work. It's completely different. It's a more personal level and a more personal relationship. And, those relationships that I have with my customers of trust, it's the same thing with my team members, right? They trust me, and these one-on-ones help to create that trusting relationship.
Well, and the other thing that I'm picking up on is you have taken what you've done with your customers and building those trusting relationships, and you've really started to think about, well, how can I do that with my team so that my team will then be building those relationships with our customers?
Yes. And as I coach my team, then I encourage them to have these same type of, not necessarily one-on-ones, they don't have the time for, but I think as long as they're thinking about that these are our customers that we want to provide this trusting relationship, that changes the game right there.
Yeah. You mentioned coaching your team, and I want to acknowledge you have been through our Coach Approach course at Tap the Potential and put a dedicated focus on learning coaching skills and powerful questioning and listening. So I'm curious, what are you doing differently now since you've been through that course than maybe 7 months ago?
Wow. And this class was incredible because I've always been the answer guy, right? If there's a problem, people come to me, whether they're team members or customers, I'm the answer guy. And so I quickly give them an answer. As the coach, you want them to kind of go through the process to think and to be able to make their own decisions. And so it's really hard when it's quick. You know the answer or what you would give, but it's interesting to know or to find out what they're thinking and how would they solve that problem. So becoming a question-based or just asking them, well, what would you do for this? Or what do you think you should try to make this work? It's super difficult, but it's very rewarding to just have them go through the same mental process that I had to when I was all by myself. I couldn't ask questions. I just had to figure things out.
And not only that, you didn't have anybody coaching you that you could go to if it failed and who would support you through figuring it out. And as the coach, that's kind of your role, is you encourage them to try it on their own, and you're there to help them when it messes up, help them think through, well, what do we do now?
Right. And it's hard. You got to let them fail, right? If you know that, oh, this isn't going to work, they have to see that. And then there's more questions. That, well, okay, well, what would you've done differently now that you know this? What else can we try? You know, that process just helps them become more confident in who they are and what they're doing, which in turn frees me up from time.
Yeah, I'm going to be devil's advocate here because I imagine our listeners are thinking, who has time to help someone else think through? Like, I mean, when it's your busy season, you just have to get stuff done. So how did you navigate that, Blake?
Oh, wow. I don't know that I navigated it successfully, and I'm still learning, and I'm still, this is a skill that takes time to develop. But I'm finding that taking a little bit more time at the front end is freeing me up later on, that I don't get that question anymore, that it's solved. Or even other questions, they might find ways to deal with other problems that pop up. Or so instead of just being so quick to give me a call or to ask me, now they're taking time to, well, let's figure this out. So my time with dealing with these questions are now starting to become less and less because they're thinking on their own.
Yeah. So since you have team members now who think on their own, and that I can't imagine any business owner who wouldn't want that. Like, that is like what business owners want, is our team members who think on their own and problem solve. So now that you have team members who are thinking on their own and problem solving, and your time is being freed up, where are you shifting and putting your attention?
So I seem to always have this list that when I get the time, I'm going to do this. So for 18 years, I've had these lists, right? And I've never really focused on any of them. So now that I'm able to have my time, I can focus on these, they're high dollar things that I'm working on, which requires focus. It's not something that I can go fix a piece of equipment and then come back and work. I kind of have to get in that mindset that I'm now the boss, or I'm now this business leader. I call it presidential work, right?
Yeah.
I now need to be presidential, and I have to cut everything else out and work on these. So, looking at, my marketing, or what are other ways to find people to work for me? How can I make it better for my team members? What's their career path? I can't do that when I'm constantly in production but pulling myself away from there now gives me a chance to think about that and actually do it. And not just, I think about it all the time, but I never get time to really put anything in motion. I'm now beginning to get that time.
That's incredible. And I just think about recently, like, you took a 5-day vacation, you got away with your wife and just came back last week. So, I mean, clearly this is working.
Yeah. And last year I took 5 one-week vacations to get away from the office, and not because I needed to necessarily get away. I need to get out of their way. I'm the holdup because it's so easy to come to me for an answer. So I really have to get out of their way to let them go through these processes to learn and to gain confidence right? They learn more about themselves and they gain the confidence that they can do it. Now I'm creating a management team where it's not just me making all the decisions. I'm looking for input from others and from these A player team members that I have.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what makes an A player at More Green. What are you looking for?
Oh, okay. So I look for, one, how are their relationships with other people? I'm a positive guy to a fault, and I tend to always look on the good side of things. And so, but I like to interact with people. I like to, be friendly and see that in others. And so I look for people that can work with others. I look for people that actually have that service heart, that they would do something for somebody else if they had the chance. I look for somebody that will do what they say they will do, that they're going to be on time, or if, I send, they're sent out to a customer far away and there's a weed in the far back corner of that property, they're going to get that. And so I look for someone that will do that and is easy to get along with. That's what those immutable laws, I look for people like that. I used to look for someone that couldn't sit still.
Really?
Yeah. So I'd bring them in to interview them, sit them on a chair, and then we would ask questions and we'd have a conversation. And if they would twitch and like they were just aching to just get up from the chair, that was one of the things that I liked, because our business is it's just a go, go, go mentality, and we don't sit still. And so that became the thing that I would look for. Who doesn't sit still? But now that's why that may be part of something, but that's not the first thing I look at. I'm looking at how well do I feel with them? Who are their connections? Who are their friends? Where are they involved outside of their work? And what's that like? And, talk to them about those relationships. That helps me know that they're going to have those relationships with our clients.
Yeah, you're just really tuning into who are they as a person and how do they connect and build relationships. And because past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. And if you want somebody who's going to build good relationships with your customers, then their ability to build a relationship with you. And I'm even imagining if someone were in an interview and they were twitching and bouncing around, that might be a sign that they're not good at relationship building, that they get very distracted easily when talking with someone. So you might have actually been undermining a core value without even realizing that.
That's true. That they didn't want to take the time to make that relationship because they wanted to go on to the next one and get done quicker. And, quality might not have been important because it was a speed thing, which that doesn't fit. That doesn't fit my mentality. We want to do quality work.
Yeah. Well, and I also want to acknowledge that you are putting attention to developing your team members. You have 2 team members currently in Leadership Bootcamp with us, and Leadership Bootcamp is for the A players in our clients' businesses. And so we always say, if somebody's not an A player, don't send them to Leadership Bootcamp. So you have 2 A players in there, and they're learning about their strengths. They're learning about the company's sweet spot and why it's important for the company to be profitable. And so not most landscape companies don't invest in developing leadership. So Blake, tell me what's made this important to you. Why are you putting a priority here?
Well, I'm putting a priority because I want More Green to be a company that will continue to provide, that if something were to happen to me, I want this company to be able to continue. And I look at my team members, but I also look at their families and their kids, and they rely on this. And I don't want it to all go away if something were to happen to me. So this leadership boot camp has helped these A players, who I'm considering my management team, to be able to start to think of things on a business level, and what's the lingo, and how do they coach, and how do they train, and what is important for the business has to thrive to benefit everybody. And so, and I need help because it's really hard to coach on my own. And so I find that having a professional such as you, Dr. Sabrina, come in and teach them, part of this is that they come and now not necessarily report back, but they have conversations with me. It's interesting their vocabulary has changed and their mindsets are changing, and it's wow. And they're coming back and saying, oh, we now understand what this is when you say this, right? It's just, it's wonderful. A business owner, we feel all alone, right? And it's difficult to have business conversations with employees because an owner and an employee, we just look at things differently. There's a point there where managers or leaders can have common discussions. And I'm beginning to see these discussions happen, which is a relief for me because I know that I'm not all by myself. I have these key members that are helping me and to make decisions. And I'm not always right. I think I'm learning that just because I think of this, that may not be the right way to do it, but somebody else sees another way to do it. And I never thought of that. Let's do that. I like that idea. And so there's more minds together to make things better.
Yeah, thinking partners. We're really building your A players into leaders who are thinking partners with you. And I'll share that when I created Leadership Bootcamp, it was something that was suggested to me by another client. And he said, everything that I'm learning with you is great. And when I go to my team and I try to teach them what I'm learning with Tap the Potential, I get these blank looks like it's just not clicking. And he said, I really need a translator. Could you translate and teach my team what you're teaching me so that I can have these conversations? And so, Blake, it's really gratifying for me to hear that, just a few weeks into Leadership Bootcamp, your team members are coming to you and they're using a different language and they're using vocabulary that you as a business owner use to think about your business. And they're asking questions that often are the questions that the business owner asks. And so now you're going to have these thinking partners. And I cannot highlight enough the benefit of having multiple people involved in making decisions, because we business owners, we see things from one perspective. And a lot of times we're making multiple decisions throughout the day, and the quality of our decision making will go down the more decisions we have to make. And so any mental load that we can share with our team members as they get better at helping come up with ideas and solve problems and help make decisions, it just levels up the whole company with the quality of decisions that are getting made.
Well, and I'm finding that sometimes my mentality is the way that I was 12 years ago or 15 years ago, that I haven't adapted. I've been putting a lot of effort in, not just my team members, but I need to be better. I've got to be a better leader, and I need to learn the skills because I've done it by myself and I could only get to this point with those skills. So, that's how I began with this is I need training for me to be a better leader. And now in turn, now I can help these team members become a leader. So if my thinking is still stuck in the 12 years ago, well, my business is way bigger than what it was 12 years ago. Now but they're seeing it, in the present.
Yeah.
So some of their ideas fit better because, and I'm ashamed to say it, but sometimes I feel like I've been held back by my past thinking.
Yeah. I think that's a huge insight. And I imagine it's really connecting with our listeners because we can only go as far as our own development with our businesses. Our businesses are limited by what we know. And you got very far with what you know. And now your business is growing and you have team. And it's so easy to slip back into old thought patterns and not even catch it. So as you're involving your team in generating ideas and decisions, it sounds like that's where you're recognizing, oh, yeah, I'm looking at that from how I would have looked at it 12 years ago. And I have a different way of looking at the business now.
Yeah, it is so different. And it's opening my mind to just see, okay, now instead of hoping this is where we're going, now I'm starting to see the avenues, and what we're becoming is actually can become a reality versus just a hope and a dream. There's now steps, and those steps are not just me. Those steps are others that are important. They're key to the success of this business. And so there's somewhere to go in the business, right? It's the team members that begin, maybe just doing services, but wow, they have a talent to sell, or they have a talent to count product. They can do that, and they actually enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
And that may not be something that I really enjoy, but they do. And that just increase the level of capacity. And one of them in the one-on-one says, when I'm learning, this doesn't feel like work. And that was huge to me to hear that, okay, this may feel like a job, but when you're learning things and growing, it's not work anymore. It's what they like to do. And maybe they find a passion for that.
That's engagement, right? That's what we're all after, is employee engagement. And A players crave learning opportunities. So it sounds like you have some very strong A players on your team, Blake. So as we wrap up with the feature here for you and our Great Place to Work Spotlight, I would love to hear your words of wisdom from the School of Hard Knocks. If you were to talk to yourself maybe 7 years ago about how things can be better, what encouragement would you give to someone who's maybe where you were 7 years ago?
That's a great question. One, I think the encouragement would be that there are people outside of maybe what you think they're there are willing to help and to be kind of a partner to kind of help you get through these difficulties. When I lost my wife to cancer, for example, I was surprised at all the community and family and friends that my employees, even my customers, right? There was this support network that I needed, and they were there for me. And so I think one of the things that I would say to my 7-year past person is look at the value of the relationships that you have and cultivate that, and don't just take them for granted. And the other thing is to be able to, I think, change our mindset to look at other ways of doing things. I think we tend to just get in this same rut. We do things over and over. And at first that worked, right? That got you to here, but that may not get you to there. And stopping for a moment, like getting away. I remember trying to go on vacation. I hated going on vacation because I had to do a lot of work before. And then when I came back, I had to do a lot of catch up, and it was exhausting. And I found that I had to take a week off because I was so tightly wound up that I didn't enjoy or relax until the third day. And so a weekend wasn't long enough for me.
Yeah.
But that time that I got away from my business, I could start to see things, or at least I looked at my business as from afar and not from in the middle of all the trees.
Those are some very powerful words of wisdom. And I'm really struck by what you said about recognizing our networks of support, that we don't necessarily recognize that they're there, and you needed them and they were there. And so I'm touching back on this because you identified as business owners, we often feel very alone, and we're not as alone as we might imagine ourselves to be. And so that support of other business owners and other people who want to help. So maybe a powerful question that we might end with is, who are the people who want to support you and help you be successful as a business owner? Who do you have around you who wants you to succeed and can support you in that way?
Wow. I'm so fortunate. I belong to a peer group of other business owners, and I've been with them for over 20 years. They are, I consider them like my brothers, and I would do anything for them because I've seen them do things for me. Those business owners, I could call them right now and say, I'm struggling with this, or can you help me through this? Or how do you handle this type of thing? There's just this bond with these other business owners that's invaluable, to be able to speak the same language and they get it, right? Because it's a commonality of, entrepreneurs, of feeling alone. We are risk takers.
Yeah.
And we need others to help play devil's advocate or keep us in check.
Yeah.
We don't do anything crazy.
Yeah. I just want to strongly encourage those business owners listening. If you feel alone, start thinking about how to start building your support network of other business owners. That's one of the things that I hear over and over from our clients in the Better Business, Better Life program is it's a safe place. You can come and share who you really are, and people understand you. And I think we all need that to deal with the stressors and challenges of life. So, Blake, I greatly appreciate you being here with us today and sharing your story. And it's so inspiring for what's possible. And big kudos to you for the work that you're doing. You're creating a great place to work. And I'm honored that we get to work with your team members too at Tap the Potential and see all the things that are going to happen out of these great steps forward that you're taking.
Well, they are wonderful people, and I appreciate your help and what you've done for me.
Thank you, Blake.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending time with us today. Join our conversation in the Entrepreneurs Take Your Life Back Facebook community at tapthepotential.com/group. Share your aha moments from today's episode, ask me questions, and join in on the fun with your fellow entrepreneurs on the journey to designing sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. And finally, share today's episode with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this. If you've gotten value from today's show, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you are a repeat listener of the podcast, know that we greatly appreciate you at Tap the Potential. And to that end, I have a request. Please consider leaving us a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Our reviews help other entrepreneurs like you to find us. Be a part of our movement to help entrepreneurs take your life back from your business.